So a friend of mine suggested that I review romantic comedies on here. I love romantic comedies, like very unironically. So this is rom-com reviews from a hopeless romantic. I watched Sleepless in Seattle, which I'd never seen before. And I think I knew somewhere deep inside me that I wasn't gonna like it. All I knew was that Tom Hanks was in it and Meg Ryan. Seattle somehow was involved, and I really didn't like it at all, which is weird because like Tom Hanks is like, so charming. This movie just really didn't work for me at all. Tom Hanks and his son live in Chicago, and his wife dies of cancer. And the first shot of the movie is them in the cemetery. It's depressing. He decides that they need to leave Chicago and get away from the memory of his wife, so they move to Seattle, where they live in like a houseboat, which is never really addressed. Like, the movie sort of acts like that's normal and that like a lot of people live in houseboats, which like didn't feel normal to me. Of course, Tom Hanks is an architect, which is one of those like romantic comedy jobs. People in romantic comedies, unless their job is something they dislike and is part of their plot, they always have something really creative and cool, like architect. Or Meg Ryan's character works for the Baltimore Sun. That's another weird thing. There's like no black people in this movie. It's just all white people, which is weird, especially because Meg Ryan lives in Baltimore and she just like goes to a diner in Baltimore with her best friend Rosie O'Donnell, which I didn't know was in this movie either. Jonah, the little son guy, calls up a like radio show that like gives advice to people on Christmas Eve and is like, my dad is miserable because his wife died. We have to find him a new wife. And his dad gets on the line and he's annoyed, but he like does it and like talks, and then all these women call because they're all in love with him because it's Tom Hanks, right? And he's like sensitive and emotional and stuff, and I guess men aren't that usually. I don't know. And so Meg Ryan listens and she falls in love with him too, and then she like stalks him for a while. She like goes to Seattle and like hangs out outside his house, but they don't meet until the end of the movie, which only happens because she writes him a letter where she tells him to meet her at the top of the Empire State Building on a Valentine's Day. And then she throws out the letter, but Rosie O'Donnell sends it for her anyway. And then the kid reads the letter and thinks that she sounds amazing for some reason. I don't know what possibly could have been in this letter that this kid would have thought that she was so amazing. The kid gets his best friend, who's played by Gabby Hoffman. You know the girl on Girls with like the really crazy eyebrows? Yeah, her. That was weird. Also, like little kid Gabby Hoffman. Her mom's a travel agent, so she books him a flight to New York. So he goes to New York and gets to the top of the Empire State Building. Everyone in New York also doesn't act like a real person. Like, everyone in New York has like a really thick accent, like, hey, you need a cab, which is like really, really weird. Tom Hanks follows him to New York. She goes to New York also, but with her fiance, because she's decided to like give up on this whole creepy stalker dream. But then she changes her mind. So then she goes to the top of the Empire State Building. There's like a moment where you think maybe they're not gonna meet. But they do. And then that's it. The movie ends when they meet, which is crazy. They like get in the elevator and everybody like smiles and the door shut on the elevator, and that's supposed to be like her happy ending. But it's weird because romantic comedies usually show people together. It was Tom Hanks over here being really cute with his son as they like get over his wife's death, and then like Meg Ryan over here being really creepy. And then the movie also tries to be like weirdly meta about the whole thing. All the women in the movie love An Affair to Remember, and all the men are like, man, what a chick movie. Yeah, they keep mentioning also in the movie this like statistic that a woman over 40 is more likely to die in a terrorist attack than get married, and then all the women get really angry about that, obviously, because obviously that's not real. I don't know what that was about. And then Rosie O'Donnell says to Meg Ryan at some point, like, you don't want real love, you want, like, movie love. But, like, we're in a movie, and it doesn't actually ever upset that, because she doesn't have real love, she only has movie love. Because she's decided she's in love with this guy, that all she did was hear him on the radio. And he's decided he's in love with her, when all he's done is see her in an airport, and meet her at the top of the Empire State Building, and say hello to her this one time in Seattle. What? This movie doesn't make any sense at all. On the Mindy Project, which is one of my favorite shows, they like kind of lampoon and like play with this, where Danny and Mindy end up meeting at the top of the Empire State Building, and he almost doesn't make it, and he runs, and it's like this big, really great rom-com mashup, and you're really emotionally moved, but that's because you're invested in them as a couple. Whereas in this movie, I was just sort of like, Meg Ryan, you gotta calm down. Girl, you just heard this guy on the radio. Like, if I decided to stalk every guy I listened to on a podcast that I thought was attractive, I would be married to a lot of people, maybe? I don't know. It would be in jail? Main thing that I liked about this movie was that it was so 1992. Every time they use a computer, it's really weird. It's just like a black screen with like orange or green type on it. I don't really recommend it. Probably just watch When Harry Met Sally though, if you want like an actually moving Nora Ephron romantic comedy, because this one was weird.